I love Mega Man 2. It's one of my favorite action platformers on the Nintendo Entertainment System. But would I like Mega Man 2 as much if it was 10 times longer and full of filler stages where I earned nothing but a bunch of junk? That's the question I've been asking myself ever since playing Fallen Leaf, a game that takes inspiration from Capcom's long-running action series. It looks good, plays great, and is full of exciting boss fights. It really is exactly what you want from a throwback game. But is there such thing as getting too much of a good thing? Yeah, that's what we're about to find out when I review Fallen Leaf. Let me ask you a question. When you see a big sign in front of a dark, scary cave that says "Do not enter," what do? I would probably run the other way. But the kids in the new game Fallen Leaf make a completely different and way more irresponsible choice. You see, Leaf and his sister Petal interpret this sign with the ominous bear claw on it as an invitation, convinced that what lies inside that cave is adventure and valuable treasures. As it turns out, they're half right. Leaf ultimately does find a hidden treasure chest, but when he opens it, he unleashes a great evil into the world. Lord Zankulos, the so-called supreme judge of all mortals. And that's not all, because an elderly wizard named Willow also pops out. He's a bit of a character. He's scatterbrained and just all over the place, constantly hoarding useless crap and manipulating people to help him solve his problems. In this case, he gives Leaf a magical gauntlet and hopes that the siblings will hunt down the Stone of Power, which will allow the wizard to capture Lord Zankulos and once again seal him away in a treasure chest. This sets up a surprisingly epic adventure that sees Leaf and Petal retrace Willow's steps in hopes of opening up all the treasure chests. But all is not what it appears, and the siblings will soon discover that there may be other people who are seemingly on the exact same mission. Could it be that Willow is not being 100% truthful? Is there more story than meets the eye? And why are all the treasure chests filled with useless crap? I mean, this one's literally just a bag of garbage. What's going on here? At its core, Fallen Leaf is a side-scrolling action platformer that is heavily influenced by Capcom's long-running Mega Man series. You run, jump, slide, and shoot at enemies with your magical gauntlet, which can be upgraded to shoot both fireballs and a powerful double shot. While the action is very much Mega Man, the secondary items feel like they were pulled straight out of Castlevania. There's no holy water, but there are hammers, boomerangs, spears, and the like. Using these items will deplete the blue magic bar, similar to the hearts the Belmonts use to throw a dagger. And in true 8-bit fashion, you'll earn back life and magic by killing random enemies. Now, what sets Fallen Leaf apart from many of those classic games from the 1980s is that you can freely swap between the characters in your party at the push of a button. Leaf is a good all-around hero, while his sister, Petal, is definitely a better jumper. There's also a third character that gets added to the party midway through that is great with close-ranged attacks and opens up areas that the other two couldn't go. The three definitely have their pros and cons, but I found myself playing as Leaf throughout most of the game. He has the best moves, is easy to upgrade, and doesn't slip around the level like his sister, which meant that there was very little incentive for me to use either of the other two characters. Fallen Leaf is the type of throwback game that doesn't just look like it came out on the Nintendo Entertainment System, but also controls like those classic platformers. In that sense, I had no problem immediately feeling at home while playing through this lengthy campaign. The jumping control is tight and responsive, and the speed and movement just feels right. This is, without a doubt, a difficult game, but the challenge is never due to the gameplay or unfair level designs. If I die, it's because I didn't get the timing right or I screwed up in some other way. Not because the game is out to get me. The difficulty is fair, not frustrating. A lot of this comes from the wonderfully crafted level designs. Although there are only 6 worlds to explore, each of them comes with around 20 different levels. That's more than enough stages for the developers to throw in literally every single platforming obstacle they could think of. It not only plays the greatest hits, but there are also some fresh and clever obstacles thrown into the mix. And with every world introducing new enemies, puzzles, and themes, you're never going to know what to expect next. Both the story and the level designs will keep you guessing right up to the end. Now, I have to admit, at first I was a little put off by having so many stages in each world. It honestly felt like the first world was never going to end. Not that I wasn't enjoying the forest background and the trees that had us climbing high above the clouds, but it does take a while for the game to really get going. The good news is that the worlds eventually do become more intriguing, with the different levels fully exploring every side of the theme. A good example of this is the world that resembles New York City. It's here where you not only dodge cars while crossing the bridge, but also platform through skyscrapers and even a grocery store. Sometimes the theme can change too. At one point, we're treated to a hellish factory world filled with dinosaurs. However, as we continue to play through the levels, it gradually turns into a horror-themed thrill ride straight out of Ghosts and Goblins. Look, it's clear that a lot of time not only went into making each of these stages, but also giving each of them their own personality. Fallen Leaf was clearly made by people who love action platformers, because this is a game filled with smart ideas and fresh takes on ideas that you've seen 1,000 times before. Take the double jump ability that you earn midway through the game as just one of the examples. Yes, this helps you reach platforms that were previously off limits, but the double jump actually does more than that. It also acts as an attack. If you can master the timing, you can take out tough enemies by double jumping right above them, something that's going to come in real handy late in the game, let me tell you. There's also a shocking amount of extra levels and puzzles scattered both inside each stage and also on the world map. This is the kind of game where you can get to the end and have only seen a third of what it has to offer. Thorough explorers will spend hours tracking down all the bonus items and life upgrades, most of which are not immediately obvious as you go from level to level. This is the kind of game that Nintendo Power would have devoted a full issue to back in the 1980s. That said, I do wish the pacing was tightened up a bit. While it's true that each stage is different enough to warrant inclusion, there were times when I wanted the different obstacles and ideas to be mashed together in a single stage instead of multiple stages. Let me tell you, you spend a long time in each world, especially early on. The first world ends up being a real slog, and it sets the wrong tone early on, forcing you to wait hours before you get to the truly great stages. And it's not like we're earning new abilities or getting anything interesting out of finding the treasure chest in each level. So a lot of the stages feel like they're there to act as filler to prolong the already lengthy adventure. Between all the levels and hidden extras, you're definitely going to get your money's worth. Too bad it comes at the expense of the pacing. The good news is that Fallen Leaf gets a lot more right than wrong. The game is filled with exciting boss fights that start simple before eventually going way over the top. These are a lot of fun, and in true 8-bit fashion, you're going to have to memorize a bunch of patterns if you're going to stay alive. I also like the amount of world building that's gone into both the action stages and the various towns. There are a lot of colorful characters that you'll meet along the way. And then there's the story, which kept me laughing and wondering where it was going to go next. It's full of fun twists and turns, and I love the way that it wrapped up. It may take a little too long to get there, but the ending is definitely worth the lengthy journey. And really, that alone makes Fallen Leaf an easy game to recommend. Fallen Leaf is a throwback game that not only looks the part, but also plays just like the action platform games that crowded the Nintendo Entertainment System. With its good looks, great control, and expertly crafted level designs, this wannabe 8-bitter does a great job of emulating the games of the 1980s. It's also surprisingly long, maybe too long. And I don't like how there isn't much incentive to switch between the different playable characters. But even though it's overlong to a fault, Fallen Leaf is a must-play experience for anybody who sharpened their teeth on old-school Mega Man games. Hey, thanks for watching my review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What's your favorite 8-bit boss? It doesn't have to be from an action game, just any boss. With so many to choose from, I'm excited to see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of the Review Crew. Probably. I mean, Nintendo has to announce something, right? While you wait to see what happens, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,